Can someone tell me what we're expecting, what we know about Generation 10? And I guess I'll say mild spoilers. Where are we at right now with our anticipation and what we might know about this game, about this Generation 10 game?
I would say pretty big spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, we talk about spoilers. We've been talking about spoilers on this, so I mean, yeah, we're just gonna probably dig into it a little bit. We'll keep it top level, right? So, I guess we know that it's an island hopping game. We know that it's supposed to be MMO like, possibly
have MMO features. Yeah,
MMO features. Okay,
and what are those?
Those are
that's y'all. I'm not doing that again. Not falling for that one.
So an MMO is essentially when you play online with like tons of people online. Like everyone is playing the game online essentially. That's kind of the very base way of describing it
in the RPG world,
right? In an RPG, MMORPG, yes.
Yeah, not just in an online area. That's cool. That's exciting. But the island hopping adventure. So like I think a lot of people are imagining like, we're gonna have a ride Pokemon that is a boat, maybe, or maybe we're on a boat.
That's actually been a big part of the discussion when they pitched it. Was they said that I don't think they will accomplish this goal. This is from a pitch, but they said the goal is for you to be able to ride or touch, like pet, every single Pokemon.
Which is something missing from ZA, by the way. There's been many times where I wanted to like pet my Pokemon or like interact with it, and I can't. I hope that goes through. I do also want to say, like Lumi brought up a good point. All of this is from a pitch of, it's a leak of a pitch of Gen 10. So some of the things could very much be changed. That's why it's like light spoilers too, because things can change. Things can change. So what else do we got? I mean, do we want to say what it's based on? Do we want to go there?
I wanted to kind of
lay it out. I don't think these are actually spoilers. These are like it's information, but it's like, well, what's this? I don't know. It's like it's not like we know the plot of the game. None of this is even confirmed.
I mean, we technically know 3 Pokemon kind of. But
I would say it all right now. People want to know.
I did want to touch on with the MMORPG features. So what it is this game's supposed to have some procedural generation, which is basically like your actions will dictate how things play out throughout the game. And so that ultimately makes it where Dusty's region might be a little bit different from mine. My region might be a little bit different from Soul's. There's even supposed to be a Pokemon whose evolution is dictated by your actions throughout the game. So Dusty's Pokemon, we can all 3 evolve our Pokemon. Dusty's will look different from Soul's, which will look different from mine, which will look different from yours. Watching the show, and the that's where the MMO features kind of come in. Since there's going to be some differences in our regions, that might even go down to like the wild Pokemon that we can find. Okay, well, that's not very fair. Soul can find Eevee. I can't find Eevee anywhere on my game. Well, I'd be able to go to Soul's world, so to speak, and be able to find like the Pokemon that he has, or explore the locations he has that look a little different on my game.
No, I like this a lot. It almost reminds me of like Pokemon Go. I'm playing ZA right now, and I did hit the end of the game, and I was a little bummed out that it's like the 10 Pokemon that you can get in every wild zone is like the only Pokemon you can get in each of those wild zones. And I feel like a game like this that we're kind of expecting to see in Generation 10 is cool, because there is this the game will stay fresh probably forever, right? It's like every time you boot it up, there's still an algorithm that determines where Pokemon can show up, but like that's kind of awesome. Like I think we like shiny Pokemon because it's like they're unexpected, right? And if every Pokemon can feel kind of unexpected, that's cool, and that adds to its story. If you find a Goomy in the mountains, you're like, you shouldn't be here, or an Eevee in like a volcano area, you're like, Eevee, you're not supposed to be here. And if you catch that Eevee in the volcano, obviously you're like, okay, this thing's got to evolve into a Flareon, right? Like there's storytelling you can do in your mind. That's really exciting.
It's a crazy concept. I do think like just bringing up all those concepts put together, it's like, how much are they going to share, and how much is in store for the entire year? Because that's what we're talking about, right? The whole year. It's like, that's what I mean. They could show so much from this game throughout the year, because there's so much to be shown. I think it's like what you were talking about, Dusty, like kind of with Gen 11, but I think Gen 10 is honestly the time that they are doing something really new and really crazy. I think it'll last too. Like it feels like a game that is meant to be played longer than your regular Pokemon game. So that's why this whole thing lasts, like what we're talking about is to 2028, 2029, Gen 10 can, the actual game itself could even last that long.
Which actually makes sense too, because the documents show too that they like planned for this to last, I think, up to 2030, like with other games in the generation.
Sure.
But typically our generations last like 3 years. In fact, people were kind of bummed about this generation because it was like a 4-year generation.
Yeah.
This one, looks like it might also be like a 4-year one, which is cool too, because people have been saying they want Game Freak to take more time working on their games. And, that I guess they're listening. Also, it will have a new engine. They built a new engine for this game, which is big for, a lot of people. And they're even remodeling some, if not all, of the Pokemon.
Yeah, which is pretty sweet. That's cool to
insane,
see. That's something that like maybe you don't think about as like a player, but because I do think Pokemon will continue to, it does continue to look better and better. But like there are certain models that they've already, I guess remade in the last, I guess in Generation 9, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur actually look good. Like there's a lot of Pokemon that they've remodeled that look so incredible. I guess I also want to say like the rumored name for this game, for this Generation 10 game, and we can call it this going forward, is Winds and Waves. That was the rumored pitch, or sorry, that was the rumored. It's convoluted, but that's what fans had kind of decided the game would be called,
theorized.
and then in some of this like leaked information, it seems like Winds and Waves was real.
Actually, it's funny. It's specifically the singular version of it. So it's wind and wave. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's where they were referring to it. Yeah, it's actually written in English in the documents, which is crazy. So yeah, it's a kind of a confirmed name. We'll see.
I mean, they can change that's one of those things that they can so easily change.
Yeah, they can change it on the dime.
And I've had like this vision. We were talking about like the timeline of how long this game would last. But I've had this vision of Generation 10 or a Pokemon game that is like more living than it actually is. Like I feel like most Pokemon games, there are events like in ZA, right? We have the battle tournament. In Scarlet and Violet, they release, monthly shiny hunts and like Pokemon with like increased odds for shiny, or maybe there's a raid that's really difficult, and those things are fun. But I feel like there's this really cool idea in my mind of a Pokemon game that could last 5, 6, 7 years. Like I'm just thinking about like a normal game that does well, that it'll take 7 years before the next one comes out. But that if the base game is good enough and resonates, like I think there's an opportunity, because there is a desire by fans to constantly revisit old regions or see new things or see new Pokemon or whatever, because that desire exists by fans. And I think there's an opportunity, instead of like churning out all of these like half-baked remakes, instead I think the opportunity would be to have this base game be awesome, but be like constantly added to with DLC over time. Listen, people say that's like, I don't know why people think DLC is like crazy or expensive, because DLC is cheaper than buying the second, like a revised deluxe version of the game. It's like half the price, except you get to keep your same save file. So like if we're playing Pokemon Wave or Pokemon Wind, and then a year later there's DLC that allows you to surf right in your, I'm imagining this like Poke ship or whatever. You have this like Ultra Lapras, whatever the legendary Pokemon is. You can now surf. Yeah, it's like now you can surf to the Mediterranean. You can surf to Paldea. You can surf to Unova. And I guess it's just this idea of like a multi-region Pokemon game. Like Heart Gold, Soul Silver put that bug in our brains, and for 20 years for 25 years, that's been like the bar that no game has been able to live up to, even though, it's way easier to make a 2-region game.
Scarlet and Violet
in the year 2000.
3 regions.
Yeah, exactly. I think Scarlet and Violet was like, Scarlet and Violet was like the prototype. Scarlet and Violet is what like made me realize that like this would actually be like a lot of fun, to have one game, and it's like a hub game. It's like where you can travel to all these. Anyways, that's like my vision. I don't know if that's going to happen for Generation 10. Maybe it's a Gen 11 thing.
I mean, I actually think probably I agree with everything you just said. Like, I am down for all of that, and I really do think each game is a stepping stone. First of all, like what you were saying, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, we stepped up to these levels, and I think that Generation 10 is another stepping stone, probably, but like a big one. I think they're really trying to go for it with this.
This time they had to hop to the next step and not just step.
Yeah, I do think that it's going to be very living game like, and I was saying this in one of our other podcasts or live streams. I think there's another game on the TeraLeak docket, and it was just codename Seed, and it was like very similarly put to what you just said, Dusty, but also to what Gen 10's like proposal essentially is, which is like a living game MMO. This one's even more MMO, and so I'm just thinking like, part of me thinks that the DLC for Gen 10, this game could have been converted into DLC for Gen 10. We don't know for sure. This is just total speculation. It's just like how it can all like mix and mash into one is an idea for me, because I just think them trying to make it last, trying to be a living game, I really do think that is part of their goal, because we even saw it in Scarlet and Violet, where we saw some MMO RPG elements in the online as well. So I do think it's possible for Generation 10 to be this as well.
So I have a thing to say, and then also a question for you two. First, just occurred to me, we didn't even say it. The region is supposed to be based off of Indonesia.
What?
Yes. Which
I love it.
Really cool. I don't know if I've like been looking at like Indonesian wildlife, and they got a lot of like what Australia gets. And so that's like, ooh, like I saw a tree kangaroo, and I was like, yes, that is.
Bro, Australia is their neighbor. Australia's
it's right below them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you see like just to the right of this map is Papua New Guinea. So
it's amazing.
When
you look at that map just it makes me so excited for what it is. Like there's just so much going on there, and a Pokemon region like that would be incredible.
There's all these like fragments of land masses, all these like islands, and putting myself in this, like if I'm looking at this and it's a region, that seems so much fun to be able to like island hop. Imagine the Hoenn region or the Alola region, but instead of having like
islands.
Yeah. Imagine the 7 islands, but like actually a full scale game. And I say that to Alola, and Alola was a full scale game, but like you couldn't actually travel in between islands.
Mantine
like
surf.
you could. Yeah. There's a mini game to connect you to the 2 islands, but it's not made for exploration, right? And in the Hoenn games, it's also all scaled down, even in the remake. So like in this Generation 10 game, like, I'm imagining like we can surf and fly, we can dive, right? There's this verticality to the ocean, but also like you can go anywhere. Like there's not only verticality, but it's like even just surfing, you're constantly finding a new island that would have a new, and this could be the procedurally generated, I guess I'm imagining like maybe the island and the biomes are procedurally generated like Minecraft, but maybe just the Pokemon and the items are procedurally generated, right? I don't know. What you're looking at on screen is so cool. This map's cool because it's like all color coordinated, and I know nothing about Indonesia, but just seeing what I'm looking at right here, it's just kind of, I guess I appreciate that it's not just a giant square landmass, but instead it is an that concept is inverted, where like the mainland is the ocean and the islands are like the destinations, which is very cool.
I would also, there's so much that you said, and we should do a whole episode obviously on this, but like if you compare this to Hawaii, even if you look at this map and you look at Hawaii is like 4 islands, and this is just so many islands and so much bigger, so I think that's a whole part of it. But also what you said with the procedural generation stuff is like only like 1 or 2 of these islands are meant to be that, so the rest of them will be like their own places, and then one island you go to is like generated over and over different ways. So there's a lot in there, and there's a lot of diversity, I would say, and it's really exciting.
Can I just say too, I'm really excited to go back to Asia for a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
I think, obviously Indonesia is very different from Japan, but I do think I don't know. I love the architecture of those regions, that part of the world, the music, like the kind of instruments they use and all. So I'm really excited for that. And if nothing else, like even aside from the fact that I do think some of Pokemon's best work was when they were working on the Japanese regions, including Kitakami, mind you. I do think there's just something to be excited that it's a change of scenery, a change of vibe. We've been in Europe and the United States for a while, and I'm an American. I like it here, but like it is nice to go somewhere that we haven't been before. We have not. Pokemon hasn't been in Asia outside of Japan, so that's exciting in itself.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
I did want to ask you.
It's been like 15 years of just Western countries,
right. And they do Asian countries better. Like they definitely. They know it more than us. I mean, Eastern countries are their thing.
We'll see though, because they were doing Japan. You know what I mean? So they were doing where they are. Like I could make a pretty good Carolinas region.
That's a really good point, Lumi.
But I mean, but I don't know if I could do a good California.
You know more about Canada probably than someone in the East would know. That's what I mean. It's like they're nearby, so they have like influences over history and like things that they learn in school that are related to that, and they're just similar cultures even, so a lot of times that'll be translated well, I think, in this. And
I guess not to nitpick, but I guess the one thing I want to say in that is I do think as like East Coast Americans, I think anything Eastern is not East Coast, but anything any nation that is like considered like an Eastern region in the world, I think inherently becomes, or we perceive it as inherently just more interesting because it is foreign to us.
Yeah, true.
I actually don't know if Game Freak specifically is doing Japan justice. These Japanese justice. I think it's just more interesting to us because we have no frame of reference. I think that's actually the truth.
Yeah, I always say like we're pretty ignorant in the whole culture thing anyway. So, who knows? Who really knows? But I'm excited.
I wanted to ask y'all without seeing the legendaries, because I know that will be a big part of it in the version exclusives. Just your gut feeling. You picking Pokemon Wind or Pokemon Wave?
I gotta see the legend.
Yeah,
I know, but you just what do you feel? Which one do you think?
I mean, listen, when we do a deep dive, we can do even more on this. I think instantly I want to say Wind because that's my vibe. Yeah, of course you are.
Team Wave,
that's my vibe. But I think that the legendary of Wave is going to be better, and I'm going to be forced to pick that. I usually go with the blue version. I think Wind will be the blue version. You know what I mean? Like I'm usually over there. Like they have a specific what is it? Style to them, not even vibe to them. Theming. Vibe, there you go. Yeah. To like the red or blue version, So anyway,
I'm gonna read this. This is from Pokeyos Pokeyos.com. They have they've recapped some of this information on
we're gonna get into it then.
So this is it says that the box legendaries, and again, this is all information that came. This is all like stolen information. This is like
from a pitch too.
Yeah, this is all information that was stolen from Game Freak. It's like it's like all conceptual. It's from a pitch from a game. So it's like this information could change. Everything that we're saying could change in the future. But this is likely because it's the next game. It's anticipated to be the next game. It's likely to be more than more real than false. But so the information for the box legendaries, this is from Pokeyos. It says central to the new story are the two legendary Pokemon that serve as the mascots for each version. One representing Storm for the wind and other Wave, the water. The Storm legendary, known in early design notes as the Elder Guardian, lives alone on a remote storm-swept isle. Said to possess the power of the wind, it guides humans and Pokemon alike towards the right path, but only accepts those who have properly nurtured a certain, quote, seed Pokemon. Meanwhile, the Wave legendary, referred to as the Elder Matriarch, resides on an island untouched by humankind. Using the calm yet powerful force of the ocean, it also guides lost souls towards balance and understanding. Like its counterpart, it acknowledges only those trainers who have shown kindness and care in raising their seed Pokemon. And the seed Pokemon, and if you guys have I'm going to read this, but if off the top you have a better synopsis of the seed Pokemon,
it's a little Pokemon that is a pre-evolution of something, and the idea is that this is a Pokemon that you will encounter seemingly very early in the game, and you will be able to raise it. But the reason they're calling it a seed is because it will be procedurally generated. Your actions throughout the story will dictate what the Pokemon will look like when it evolves. So it'll have, we don't know the extent, but it'll have like a different pattern. I doubt it'll be anything huge like typing or abilities, but everyone should look a little different.
This is really, really cool. So it says, at the heart of the story lies a unique seed Pokemon, a small baby-like creature that players encounter at the beginning of their adventure in a sunny coastal resort area. Though it is considered rare, it is not mythical, but locals claim to see it occasionally. Yet no one has ever witnessed its evolution. Legends say that this Pokemon begins to evolve only when brought to the island where the legendary Storm and Wave dwell. Its evolution is described as having infinite possible forms, each shaped by how players train, bond with, and nurture it throughout their journey. This is really, really cool.
It's insane. I don't understand it as a concept. Like I do, but I'm just like, how does this go into Pokemon, you know?
I think it would be, if I could take a crack at it, I think it's just, it probably would have like 10 different evolutions. And depending on the choices you make and whatever they might be, everyone starts out with the same Pokemon, but it will evolve differently. And this is cool because like, when we talk about like an RPG or Pokemon games, we're like, oh, I wish our actions actually affected the gameplay. And in a Pokemon game, that needs to be adapted to the Pokemon universe, which is the choices you make in the game affect a Pokemon. So it's like, this will be like a secondary starter to you.
Yes.
Or dude, imagine this is literally our starter and we all have the same starter, but it evolves one of 3 different ways. Depending on,
I think it's possible, but I do think they said something that there might still be the starters. I don't know.
There was like a thing that was like from the Terra leak on how you would meet the starters of the game. So it's implied that there are just regular starters that are.
But anything's possible. Anything.
The way
can change.
I'm seeing it, absolutely. The way I'm seeing this is like this is Pokemon Sun and Moon, but you have Cosmog.
That's kind of what it's like. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So there we do have more information about this. I'm speculating, but there is more information. It says that the evolution of the seed Pokemon is also procedurally generated, featuring unique floral or fractal patterns, meaning every player's final form will be completely unique. And that is cool.
You're gonna love this thing if it makes the final cut, because it's apparently a plant. Like it's a grass Pokemon. So like you're gonna, for me instantly when I think of like a plant Pokemon, I'm like, I'm not excited by it, but I know you do. Well, so it's good.
Guess what I found last night in ZA? Alpha shiny Bellsprout.
Ooh,
nice.
I'm like
shiny.
I've like entered a new arc in my life. I'm like, just
the blue
shiny,
lips.
Shiny Alpha Victory Bell. Shiny Alpha Mega Victory Bell.
I was thinking about this while you were talking about it. Obviously, the goal when they're creating this Pokemon is they want you to use it, you know? They want you to take one of those precious 6 slots you have. You only get 6 of them, and they want you to fill one of those slots with this Pokemon. And so I was thinking, like, the design should be really interesting to see what they do, because they're obviously going to want to try to appeal to as many people, you know, where some Pokemon are like, you know, they're cool. They're going to appeal to the cool people. They're going to appeal to the edgelords or whatever. And some Pokemon are cutesy, and they're going to appeal more to like people who like a cute Pokemon, like a pet or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like this one, they're going to try to get as many people as possible for, which is, I'm just curious how they'll pull that off. Also, it being a grass type, we don't know that for a fact, but based on it being like plant-like, I'm assuming that's interesting too, because if we're choosing between a grass, fire, and water starter like we do in every game, then this would discourage people from choosing the grass starter, or rather the grass starter discourage people from choosing this.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if
it'd probably be normal, to be honest.
I mean, listen, they could do something weird. They could give it like 3 types or something, right? But also, yeah, you're right. It could be normal type. I guess I'm also thinking like, It could be like Nebby. It could be like Koraidon and Maraidon, where you don't actually get it until the end of the game.
I really see it more as an Eevee, to be honest. Even this image that you have up, that's kind of crazy. This is like a
Eevee.
Yeah, it has Eevee in it, and it is what is it, concept art, I guess, 3D art of what the region is supposed to be like. Scarlet and Violet had one similar to this, and everyone like loses their mind over it. That Scarlet and Violet didn't.
This isn't
look
exactly
like
what we're gonna get if you're looking at the screen,
because
right
it's
now,
just a still shot concept art. Like the game can't move like this essentially. But it could be pretty close to this. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
it depicts a character. There's a female character with an Eevee.
Nemona.
There's a Charmander. There's a but Nemona doesn't matter. But yeah, it's literally just
she's
a placeholder.
Great.
It's just a placeholder.
I know, but she's the best.
You got Snorlax in the background. There's giant old trees, right? Which depict like this is ancient land, and there's some other tropical plants as well. I think there's a birds of paradise.
My boy Charmander.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. There's Charmander there. There's really not much we can learn from this, but that is a pretty kind of a cool connection. Maybe they chose Eevee here as kind of a placeholder for that seed Pokemon,
because I think Eevee is
might maybe functions similarly.
Yeah, Eevee's like the prototype to the seed Pokemon. But yeah, I think it's a pretty crazy idea. We'll see what happens. All I know is like that's the thing, like how much they're going to show throughout the year. Like, the seed Pokemon evolves into this.
Did they reveal the seed Pokemon on?
I don't
Pokemon
think
Day?
so. I actually don't think so. I think the starters are this show.
Sure,
but who knows?
Because they would have to reveal that, like you'd think, pretty early on. You know?
Mm-hmm.